Turns out, Enzo wreaking havoc with Sunbelt basketball. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we didn't get to Larry Blakeney getting into the College Football Hall of Fame last week. We'll do it this week. And ODU loses their third straight. Have just not been able to build on their win over South Alabama and seem to be going in the other direction. 2 out of their last 3 losses have been brutal. This one was close for about 3/4 of the first half, and then it all went in the other direction. Okay, now, be honest with you. I didn't think that the snow was going to be that bad, and it got all the way to Statesboro. They got almost half a foot, if not more. The Statesboro game was supposed to be last night. They canceled that game, and it's going to be this afternoon. It was supposed to be Wednesday night, along with Old Dominion. They got snow in Norfolk. And Mike Jones went outside to do a quick promo, shoveling, which was a great idea. Game's on. We're playing. Come on out. Drive safe, but we're playing the game. And so even the Georgia Southern game, and I did not realize that the weather was supposed to go. I thought I checked some forecasts, but they did get snow across a lot of the South, and then the temperatures did get really, really cold. We have been, I'm not going to get all weather technical on you, except it has been bitterly cold here in Louisville since about Saturday. And I'm not talking about like 30 degrees. I'm talking about like 5 degrees. I did a tour. I did the first tour. I think it was on Saturday, and it was 10 degrees. And that first tour would be at 9:20 in the morning. And we're mostly inside. We're going in between buildings, and it's cold. And even inside one of the buildings, it's a little chilly. Came back later in the day, and it was 25 degrees, I guess. And said that was such a huge difference. All right. So maybe it was Sunday. It did not get above that mark. So it's been cold, not getting above 20 degrees since Sunday. Okay. And so they had record-setting lows in South Louisiana. I'm not even sure if Texas State made the trip. I have not seen anything updated since. We did get it, say, after noon, and I mean that specifically, not just generally speaking, but after lunch, if you will. They did announce it, and it started to leak out. I guess the teams started doing it. Saw Georgia Southern was postponed until today, so that's going to come out at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then Troy and Southern Miss is postponed until Monday, 6 p.m. And South Alabama at ULM is postponed until Monday, 7:30 p.m. I don't know why that's so late. If it is late, it's, I guess, just a half an hour. I don't know. Who knows what's going on there. But I guess that's at ULM. Who knows what's going on there? It's an extra half an hour. But South Alabama is still scheduled to play at Troy on Saturday. South Alabama is getting a week off, and so is Troy, since they've played each other. So it is interesting that those teams are getting some time off. It would have been interesting if Troy played today and South Alabama got some extra time, or the other way. And remember, in that Sunbelt Conference tournament, they don't like that, right? Where you haven't played in a week, and if you wrap up your seeding, you may not play your starters, you may rest them, and now you haven't played in about 10 days or so, and you play a team that's had a chance to get a game under their belt, and all of a sudden your timing is off, they're hitting threes, and you get upset. But in this case, that's not the case, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll see if these games play as scheduled on Thursday. Did not hear anything about Texas State basketball. Didn't really do much all day on Wednesday at home. Just kind of chilled. Again, it has just been so cold, and it should be a little bit warmer on Thursday here, and by warmer, like into the 30s. So we just basically stayed inside for the day. So we shall see. And again, everybody having some fun in the snow. A lot of people don't get the chance to be in the snow. Hopefully people paid attention to not go out and drive in the snow. I know that's not feasible for everybody, but a lot of cities down south, like Louisville, is not necessarily equipped to, plow the snow. Like certainly the where I live, I back out into an alleyway. I don't expect that to get plowed, but the main street of houses, I don't even think that street has been plowed. Whereas in Syracuse, New York, where my mother lives, that street would be plowed numerous times during a snowstorm. Absolutely. So it's very different. And obviously, down south, they don't have, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait for the temperatures to rise and the snow to melt. The fastest way it melts is if it rains. That's the fastest way that it can melt. Or, the temperatures rise, into the 50s, right? And it melts. If it freezes, then it's going to take a little bit longer for that to happen. So we shall see what happens here. Again, so now we have lesser games that are happening tonight. We can preview some of these games coming up later on after we recap the ODU ball game with JMU. We only have a handful of ball games. Let's see if they've moved those. They have not. They did move the South Alabama game. They didn't move the Troy Southern Miss game on the worldwide leader, if you will. All right, let's take a timeout. Hey, Troy's Larry Blakeney getting into the College Football Hall of Fame, and I like the way they went about telling him. We'll do that right after I tell you about Talkspace. Therapy is a game changer. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But finding the right therapist and fitting sessions into a busy schedule can be a challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. Talkspace, the leading virtual therapy provider, makes getting the help you need easy, accessible, and affordable. With Talkspace, signing up is simple. You can match with a licensed therapist who fits your needs, usually within 48 hours, and it's convenient. You can have sessions from the comfort of your home and even message your therapist between appointments. Plus, Talkspace is covered by many insurance plans. And for most insured members, there's a zero copay. It's never been easier to prioritize mental health. As a listener of this product, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege and enter promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnCollege, promo code SPACE80. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Last week, former Troy Trojans head football coach Larry Blakeney was informed he is being enshrined into the College Football Hall of Fame with two of the all-time greats, regardless of what we think about Urban Meyer. He was certainly a very good football coach, and of course, he's going in with the GOAT, Nick Saban. That's really quick for Nick Saban. Larry Blakeney has to be considered the best Sunbelt football coach, all-time Sunbelt winning Sunbelt football coach. I think I saw by 20. Isn't that right? That's a good job. And again, I liked what they did. They got him on the phone with a couple of his former players. I'm guessing that's his former players, right? Lawrence Tynes, the Giants kicker, and of course, DeMarcus Ware, who just went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, were the ones who got on the phone with him. Big smiles on both their faces, telling him that he got into the College Football Hall of Fame. And as Craig Stevenson said it, I'm not sure he used the word contrived, but sort of set up. It didn't seem like it was set up in that case, right? Like the baseball guys just found out, right? Like CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner. Well, when you get the call, no one's calling you to tell you you didn't get in, and no one's posting that on social media, right? No one's calling to tell you that, right? I don't think so. I don't think they call you to tell you you didn't get in. I could be wrong. You get called, you do, right? And who knows if Larry Blakeney, I don't know if he knew he was nominated. I don't know how that, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know how the College Football Hall of Fame works at all. And so who knew if he even knew he was up for it? And so when he's getting calls from his former players and the Hall of Fame to tell him that he got in, he just looked like he what? I'm in the Hall of Fame? What? And then to see his players tell him that he was in the Hall of Fame, it just felt like it was genuine and that he appreciated it, right? Like, some of the baseball players expect it and football players expect it. And yes, it's a culmination of a career. And quick story, I was at the 89 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And so that's Yaz and Bench, right? Two guys, shockingly not unanimous, if we're talking Ichiro, unanimously, and, voted in. And of course, two of the all-time greats, Yaz and Bench, right? But along with them was Red Shanedeast and an umpire, Al Bartlick. And Carl Yastrzemski was the one who got up there. And of course, this was the summer of Pete Rose. So that was kind of overshadowing everything else. And Yaz were like, yes, it's been a long time coming. No, it hasn't been 5 years. You were getting in, right? You hadn't been waiting all that long. You were getting in. Al Bartlick was the one who was generally touched, right? Like he couldn't believe that someone thought that he should get in. And that was kind of the way that Larry Blakeney felt, building the Troy Trojans into a Southland champion, into a Sunbelt champion, getting them from, the lower levels of college football to the upper level of college football. And, really, again, the facilities, if you haven't seen it, Troy's athletic facilities are as good as anybody's. And they're all kind of in one spot. They really are. The basketball arena is great. The baseball stadium is good. I think they're getting a whole new press box, which they did need. That is a little bit tight. But, the stadium is nice for the fans. And the football stadium is nice. don't know about the softball. I'll be honest with you. I hadn't seen that. But, and of course, football is going to drive that. And so when you get the football program going, as Larry Blakeney did, and has Neil Brown had, and has John Summerall had, and we'll see if Jerry Parker can continue that, right? They sort of turn the corner at the end of the year. The rest of it comes with it, right? Scott Cross has the basketball program, has been pretty good, right? Got to get that Sunbelt championship, but Troy's been pretty good since Scott Cross has been there. And see if baseball can get back to where they've been. And Troy's always been a pretty good baseball program as well. But congratulations to Larry Blakeney. Let me see if we can get I want to get the numbers here specifically. Let's see here. This was actually the day before the Marshall fine. Troy head coach 1991 to 2014. So he coached a couple of years when I first got here. The 2025 class will be officially inducted during the 67th National Football Annual Awards Dinner on December 9th, 2025 at the Bellagio Hotel and Casino in Vegas. The inductees will also be recognized at their respective collegiate institutions during the fall. Their accomplishments will forever be immortalized at the Chick-fil-A College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. So we've had those SEC media days there. That's pretty cool. Blakeney, as I mentioned, will join Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and Larry Corver as the coaches in the 2025 class, while 18 former players were selected as induction as well. Coach Blakeney's roots are intertwined with the history and tradition of Troy football, and there's nobody more deserving to grace the halls of College Football Hall of Fame than him, Troy Director of Athletics, Brent Jones, said. During his 24 seasons as Troy head coach, Blakeney won over 60% of his ball games, posting a career record of 178, 113, and 1. He led the Trojans to 5 bowl games, securing victories in the 2006-2010 New Orleans Bowl and appearances in the 2004 Silicon Valley Bowl, 2008 New Orleans Bowl, and 2010 GMAC Bowl. Prior to Troy's transition to the FBS, he guided the Trojans to 7 FCS playoff appearances in 8 seasons. He remains the all-time winningest coach in the Sunbelt Conference history, holding a 20-win advantage over the next closest competitor, guided Troy to 8 conference championships, including 3 in the Southland Conference, before leading the Trojans to the Sunbelt record 5 consecutive titles from 2006 to 2010. So, obviously, very, very well-deserving into the Hall of Fame. Larry Blakeney headed into the College Football Hall of Fame. All right, let's take a time out. We did have a college basketball game on Wednesday in the Sunbelt. It was ODU hosting JMU. ODU started out well. They had the lead up until about the 15-minute mark, and they fell apart. We'll talk about that when we come back. It is Locked On Sunbelt. Let me tell you about Game Time. Attending NFL playoff games is an experience like no other. The energy, the excitement, and the connection with other fans are unmatched. I remember the thrill of seeing my favorite team clinch a playoff win live. It's a memory I'll never forget. This year, Game Time makes it even easier to create those unforgettable moments with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats so you can focus on what matters, being there. I use Game Time Picks to grab tickets for a playoff game, and it couldn't have been easier. I found a super deal that gave me incredible value for amazing seats, and I could even preview the view from my spot before buying. The all-in pricing is a game changer. No surprise fees at checkout, plus knowing my tickets are backed by the Game Time guarantee gave me complete peace of mind. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. I do believe I took JMU in this ball game. I don't know what the line was. It didn't have a line at the time. Let's see what the line was. JMU does win the ball game 74-60. I'm not sure it was that close in the second half. The line was, it opened up at JMU was actually favored by 4.5. It got to 6.5. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have taken JMU 6.5. I absolutely would have stayed with it there because there's no way I'm betting on ODU to cover 6.5. I said I would have stayed away from it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I would have taken JMU to cover that. There's no way. Admittedly. But I did take JMU to win the game. I did say, not knowing what the line was, stay away from it. Now knowing what the line was, I'm telling you, I never would have picked JMU to cover, and I certainly wouldn't have picked ODU. Admitting that even after I know the line. Final score was JMU 74-60, and it really wasn't that close in the second half. Old Dominion actually got off to a pretty good start in this ball game. I think they were up 14-5, 12-4, and yes, 14-5, and then then it started to fall apart. I guess JMU went on a 7-point run right there, making it 14-12. They eventually took an 18-17 lead, and then it kind of went back and forth. And then it was 25-22. Robert Davis Jr. from ODU, he of the three-point shot for the Monarchs, hit a three-pointer with 5:42 to go in the first half. And that was the last lead ODU would see. JMU finished the first half on a 15-4 run. They led at half 37-29. All right. So remember, 5:42 left to go in the first half. ODU was winning 25-22. We get to the second half. And they didn't get their 35th point. They got a offensive rebound. Stephon Walker hit one, giving them their 36th point with 12.5 minutes to go, 12:29. It took them 7.5 minutes plus more than 5.5 minutes. So that's more than 13 minutes because it was 5:42. That's more than 13 minutes to score more than 10 points. That's not good. And I did see a clip from local TV saying Mike Jones is trying to stay even keel, but is getting emotional with his team because they had played so well against South Alabama and played pretty well against Georgia Southern. I mean, can't win them all, right? And they haven't won since South Alabama. But there is a difference between playing well and losing, all right, and not playing well. And they didn't play well against App State, all right? App State's good, but they didn't play well against App State. And they laid an egg in that ball game from the get-go. They started to play well in this game up until that 25-22 mark and didn't play well after that. Did this get to be a 20-point ball game? It did get to be a 14-point ball game. I think that was the largest lead. Let's see what the largest lead was. And he'll tell me what the largest lead was for James Madison was 17, 73-56 was the largest lead. That was at the end of the game. James Madison had 4 guys in double figures. Smith led with 21. Xavier Brown did not play very much. Hopefully he's okay. He did play 14 minutes, but only 2 shots, maybe coming off the bench. Freeman had 16 points. Lindsay had 15. Ricks had 11. Davis did have 23 points, only 3 3-pointers. Did go 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Dura Gordon had 10 points, 10 rebounds. Johnson had 14 points. Not a very good game for ODU. James Madison improves to 4-4, and ODU drops to 4-4. Again, they're just James Madison not that far away. Right? I mean, if South Alabama beats Troy on Saturday, then Troy is 4-4, right? And so you're not that far away from being in that, not in the top 2 seeds, but in those top 4 seeds. That's a big spot in the Sunbelt. That would be a very big spot in the Sunbelt. ODU is headed in the wrong direction, and as we've mentioned throughout, winning on the road is hard. This one not quite as hard as others, but that's a nice win for JMU, who hadn't been playing particularly well either, and that's a nice win for the Dukes. All right, quickly, games that are actually taking place, allegedly, we'll see today. Georgia Southern and Coastal Carolina playing at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Georgia Southern 5.5-point favorites. We will take the Eagles, see if they can make it. Would it be 3 in a row? I think it would be 3 in a row. It is. So that'll be 3 in a row. We'll take Georgia Southern. We're going to see if the Cajuns can surprise. That game again slated for 3 p.m. Central Time in Lafayette. We'll see if Texas State made it. Again, I thought everything was supposed to melt on Wednesday. I don't know if Texas State made the trip. So I'm going to take the Cajuns in that one to cover, and I'm going to say to win. Texas State favored by 5.5. Georgia State hosting Marshall. I'm going to take Marshall on the road. I don't know what's going on with Georgia State. They had lost 7 in a row. Then they blew out the Cajuns. They had a nice win against Georgia Southern, hung on against Coastal Carolina, then lost at Texas State, got blown out by Arkansas State. Now they got 2 games at home. I don't know what to make out. Guess losing on the road, nothing to be too ashamed about there. But I think Marshall is going to win this ball game. Marshall is favored by 4.5. I will take Marshall to win and to cover. All right. Troy and Southern Miss are slated to play on Monday. That game is postponed until Monday. And the big ball game, not staying up to watch this. This is 9 p.m. Eastern time. This is a nice game to have on national TV. This is a nice one to get. Arkansas State is hosting App State. That is Arkansas State 6.5. Total's 136. That's going to be interesting. I would take, let me see that. This is for sole possession of second place to stay on the heels of South Alabama. Arkansas State's averaging 80. App is averaging 70. I would take the under in that one. I would go with that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. You would think this would be a packed house as long as the weather. I don't think Jonesboro and Monroe got the weather. Could be cold, but I don't think they got the snow. You would think App State's going to win on you would think Arkansas State should be able to pull off the win at home. I'm going to take App State to cover and Arkansas State to win. Is that a cop-out? I will take the under, though. I think App State's going to give Arkansas State all they can handle. It's going to be a good ball game. All right. Do not expect a lot of points. The closer that Arkansas State can get to 70, and if they clear 70, they'll win. The closer they score to 60, the better chance App State has to pulling off the upset. I think that line is a little bit much. I think App State's pretty good. think Arkansas State's very good. I think a little sloppy and a little cocky. I'm looking forward to watching this one, at least the first half at night, and we'll watch the second half while we're on the exercise bike. Hashtag humble brag. The next morning. All right, so that's a good one, and it is on national TV. It is on ESPN too. All right, thanks. So we will have a recap of that for you. Well, I guess on Monday, because we won't have it for Fridays. We won't have that one for Friday's episode. It'll be on. We'll have the first half, anyways. Sorry, we do have to work Friday morning. All right. Thanks very much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. You have been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a tremendous Thursday, everybody, and we will catch up with you on Friday.